Sherry, come up here and start kick us off. Sherry's one of our Tea Parties. She's been to Washington. She was in Washington at the big Tea Party. We thought it'd be a good time to start with her. You're going to show a few?
Well, I was, but it's too hard to switch the thing over. So
tell us a little bit about what happened in Washington. Anything else you want to talk about?
Had a lot of good pictures, but you've probably seen them all on Fox News. I have notes because I'll just go on too much because I'm so excited. It was the best thing that happened to me besides my marriage, my birth of my children, and the birth of my grandchildren, which I just had my last grandchild born yesterday. He could have been born any time during the march, and I thought, oh, I don't want to miss it. But I was marching for him, as well as my other 5 grandchildren. I better go by my notes here. My sisters and I, Jean's here tonight, and my sister Mary, we were excited, honored, and very blessed to be a small part of the 9/12 March on Washington. We the people made history as we turned out in droves at our nation's capital to join in with hundreds of thousands, not hundreds, not 10,000s, but hundreds of thousands of voices to let our voices be heard as one. Several sources have estimated the crowd at over 2 million. The London Times was one of those sources, and I think it's a sad day for America when our own mainstream media downplays an event such as this as if they covered it at all. They reported there were merely thousands, while a newspaper from the home of King George told it like it really was. It was anywhere from 1.6 to 2.2 million. 3 hours into we marched. It took us about 45 minutes to get to the Capitol, and then they proceeded to give different speeches and entertainment. Not as good as we had here tonight, though, but it was good. But 3 hours into the 6-hour presentation, it was slightly uphill, but turned around and looked, and people were still marching up all the avenues trying to get there, from way away. It gave us all chill bumps. But besides the big march in Washington, over 200 events in 45 states were going on simultaneously because people wanted to make their voices heard. For every person who made the personal sacrifice to make this trip, there were probably thousands who would like to have gone but couldn't. Actually, a big majority of people weren't even aware of the march as the mainstream media didn't announce it. And I say thank God for Fox News and thank God for the internet. Fox News, you don't know what's going on. You certainly won't hear about it from ABC, NBC, CBS, even though ABC did say right off during the march that it was announced that they had announced that it was at least 1.5 million there. This march was not, though, it was not about partisanship, it was not about race, it was not about left and right, but it was about right and wrong, and it was about Americans losing faith in our representatives, the media, and those who are supposed to be the ones that are responsible for good-mouthing America and not apologizing for its greatness. Liberty was given to us by God Almighty, and it's our responsibility to protect that liberty. And who would have ever dreamed that 200 years after the first American Revolution, a new generation of patriots, I call myself a patriot, would think it essential to unite and gather from all corners of America, and with God's guidance and protection, travel to our nation's capital to stand in defense of that great and unparalleled Constitution of the United States of America that was written by our first patriots. Today's patriots are tired of the waste and the fraud and the systematic dismantling of our country. These things have snuck up on us. When did Congress pass it that they could receive their salary for the rest of their lives, even after serving one? Do you know when it happened? I don't know when it happened. I just learned about it recently. How many years or decades have they been doing that? And so now Americans are losing belief in our system and believing that we are in grave danger of sinking, just like the Titanic, which they said was unsinkable. Well, it happened. So Americans are no longer remaining silent, and our battle cry in Washington was, can you hear us now? Can you hear us now? We chanted that, and we chanted that. Of course, we did the Pledge of Allegiance, God bless America. And our favorite was, you lie! They don't want to admit it, but Congress is beginning to listen. Yes. And the smart ones are, and the rest will be replaced in 2010. So God bless America. God bless your church.
Bobby, Sherry, that was very nice. It was really nice that we got somebody from Monroe, Oklahoma, that went to Washington, D.C. to represent us. We appreciate it. Bobby, where are you at? Get yourself up here.
Quickly. She can't hear you.
Bobby, Yes, you. I couldn't see you. Come up here. Bobby's one of our founders of our Tea Party group. Is would outspoken be, would that be too bad to say? Anyway, here I have a little bit I want to say. She is our local vocal voter awareness activist. So if you're a reader of the Poteau Daily News, you can now put a face with the name. Bobby, thank you for coming.
Thank you, buddy, and thank all of you for being here. My comments tonight are taken from a web page on the internet with awesome text and graphics. The web address is printed on this handout. I urge everyone to visit it at least once. If you have internet access at home, bookmark it, visit it often, and share it, because I'm not going to have the time here tonight to do justice to it. There's no doubt in my mind that the United States of America was founded on Judeo-Christian principles, that our founding fathers were Christian men. James Madison wrote, "We have staked the whole future of our new nation on the capacity of each of us to govern ourselves according to the Ten Commandments." Thomas Jefferson wrote on the front of his Bible, "I am a Christian, a disciple of the doctrines of Jesus. I have little doubt that our whole country will soon be rallied to the unity of our Creator and a hope to the pure doctrine of Jesus." In his farewell address on September the 19th, 1796, George Washington said, "It is impossible to govern the world without God and the Bible." In an address to military leaders, our second president, John Adams, said, "Our Constitution was made only for a moral and a religious people." Our first Supreme Court Justice, John Jay, said, "We must select Christians when we select our national leaders if we are to preserve our nation." The McGuffey Reader was used for over 100 years in our public schools until it was stopped in 1963. It is clear from history that the Bible and the Christian faith were foundation in our educational judicial system until a 1947 Supreme Court case laid the first brick in the wall separating church and state. This led to removing from prayer in public schools in 1962. In 1963, the Supreme Court ruled that Bible reading in the public school was unconstitutional. In 1965, the courts denied the rights of a student to pray over his meal in the school cafeteria. In 1980, the courts outlawed the Ten Commandments in our public schools, saying this: "If the posted copies of the Ten Commandments were to have any effect at all, it would be to induce children to read them. If they read them, meditate on them, and observe them, this is not a permissible objective." Today we are asking God to bless America, but how can He bless a nation that has departed so far from Him? I'm going to end my comments with this rally cry by the man I still believe should have been elected president in 2008, former Colorado Congressman Tom Tancredo. This is your culture. Fight for it.
Yes.
This is your flag. Pick it up. This is your country. Take it back.